Hello and welcome to the Ethical World Podcast. In today's episode, we dive into a recent issue that rocked the aviation world and raised critical questions about corporate responsibility: the Boeing 737 MAX incident. Matthew, what can you tell us about Boeing?
So before we get into the issue at hand, it's important to understand what Boeing is. The Boeing Company is a corporation in the United States of America. As with any corporation, they are governed by their bylaws and code of conduct. So now that we have an understanding of what Boeing is, let us learn a little bit more about Boeing's history. In 1916, William E. Boeing founded the Boeing Company, then called Aero Products Company, in Seattle, Washington. Starting out as a seaplane manufacturer for the Navy, over the years, William was able to expand and absorb more and more businesses like his. World War II presented Boeing with an opportunity to further expand, creating historic airplanes such as the B-17 bomber and the B-247 airliner. Throughout this period, Boeing became the leading producer in both military and commercial aircraft. Post-war, Boeing's dominance continued. Throughout the 20th century, Boeing not only introduced but excelled at the production of many different commercial airliners, such as the 707, 727, 737, and of course, the 747 jumbo jet. Through the combination of growth through acquisition and technological advancements, Boeing expanded their worldwide presence in the aircraft manufacturing businesses even further. They quickly became one of America's most trusted companies, and countries from all over the world rushed to place orders for airplanes with the words "manufactured by Boeing" on them. So now that we have an understanding of Boeing's history, let's look at the issue at hand. Between late 2018 and early 2019, two Boeing 737 MAX aircraft crashed, one in Indonesia and one in Africa, killing a total of 346 people. The reason these planes crashed was due to a faulty sensor on the aircraft's nose, leading the planes into an uncontrollable, non-recoverable nosedive. Any action by the two pilots would not be enough to save them or the others on board. In the days and weeks following these two accidents, Boeing refused to order a grounding for their 737 MAX aircraft, claiming that they were safe for people to travel on. Later, it came out that those at Boeing knew the plane was still unsafe. However, in an effort to protect the name of the company, they refused to do anything. Some at Boeing even went as far as to blame the foreign flight crews for the crashes, suggesting that insufficient pilot training was the cause. Ultimately, the Federal Aviation Administration grounded the aircraft in March of 2019. This, a blow in the gut to any aircraft manufacturer, was nothing short of that for Boeing, causing Boeing's stock to drop significantly. After a thorough investigation led by the FAA, it was discovered that many of the developers on the 737 aircraft and even some of the executives knew about the fault in the aircraft systems, yet allowed it to enter production. So now that we have an understanding of what the issue is, let's now look at this issue using the lens of positive business trajectory. First, we must ask, how did Boeing violate the law? Which they certainly did. First off, Boeing failed to fully disclose their offensive conduct. The U.S. Department of Justice highlighted Boeing's failure to disclose critical information about the breach of safety and faulty functionality of the 737 MAX. Secondly, Boeing was charged with conspiracy to defraud the FAA by, again, withholding important documents detailing the faulty systems of this airplane. Lastly, through providing misleading statements to not only their customers but to the courts as well, Boeing was in violation of anti-fraud provisions of federal securities laws. Now that we've covered the law, what are some other ways that Boeing violated their own internal documents during this time?
To do that, let's dive into the core values in Boeing's code of conduct: safety, quality, integrity, and transparency. Unfortunately, Boeing's actions during the 737 MAX crisis did not mirror these values. The failure to report operational flaws in the 737 MAX compromised not only safety and quality standards, but also displayed a blatant disregard for integrity and transparency. Misleading statements and critical omissions painted a picture of a company straying far from its own ethical compass. Another key aspect of Boeing's code of conduct is the encouragement for employees to report concerns about safety, quality, or potential violations of the law. This principle was severely tested in the 737 MAX saga. Employees who should have felt empowered to voice crucial safety concerns were engulfed in a culture where such openness was evidently not fostered. And then there's the matter of ethical behavior and compliance. Boeing's own guidelines emphasize that compliance with the law and ethical conduct are paramount. Yet in the 737 MAX case, the lack of disclosure of vital safety information and non-adherence to FAA regulations revealed a significant lapse in both ethical behavior and compliance. The ramifications of this issue were profound and tragic. The crashes led to the loss of 346 lives, leaving behind grieving families and a ripple of pain and loss. The worldwide grounding of the 737 MAX planes disrupted global aviation, impacting countless passengers and shaking the trust of airline customers. But what about the broader implications? Boeing's neglect in addressing the 737 MAX's issues underscored the need for stricter compliance with aviation laws and adherence to internal policies. This event forced a reckoning with the aviation industry, steering it towards a deeper commitment to legal and ethical standards, where safety and integrity takes precedence over financial gain. Boeing's legal battles resulting in a plea of not guilty to conspiracy to defraud the FAA culminated in a deferred prosecution agreement. Boeing was ordered to pay over $2.5 billion, including compensation to customers, a fund for crash victims, and a criminal penalty. Yet the financial impact pales in comparison to the lasting damage to Boeing's reputation, with its stock price and public trust yet to fully recover. In conclusion, the Boeing 737 MAX case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of aligning actions with stated values, the necessity of a culture that encourages speaking up, and the non-negotiable priority of safety over profit. It's a lesson in integrity, accountability, and the enduring impact of corporate decisions over lives and communities. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, let's keep seeking lessons that help us build a more responsible and ethical world.